final game of Week 8 features the Denver Broncos on the road against the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football. We don't typically see the Broncos as an underdog of more than a touchdown, but oddsmakers and bettors seem to believe that Denver's defense can only take the team so far. This line opened at plus 7.5 on Denver, but it is settled at plus 7. The Broncos are fading fast in the minds of the betting public. Denver is just 3-3 straight up and against the number. The Broncos started 2-0, but have dropped 3 of their last 4 games, straight up and against the spread, and it has not been pretty. The Broncos have scored just 36 points over their last 4 games. The Denver offense has some really big problems. The Broncos are averaging just 5 yards per play on the season. Trevor Siemian hasn't played that well, and he needs help. Siemian will have an extra day to rest his sprained AC joint in his left shoulder. Siemian has completed 63% of his throws with an 8-7 touchdown interception ratio. He's been sacked 22 times. Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders have 2 receiving touchdowns between them and have only been able to haul in 55 of their 91 targets. The Broncos are clearly missing a tight end as a safety valve for Siemian, as A.J. Derby only has 15 catches through 6 games. C.J. Anderson and Jamal Charles have had some success running the ball, but not enough to offset the problems with the passing game. Anderson has 4.3 yards per carry, and Charles has 4.7 yards per pop. The Broncos have 26 plays of 20 or more yards and have only allowed 17, but this just is not an efficient offense right now. The defense has held up its end to an extent. The Broncos have only allowed 3 yards per carry on 142 attempts, but the pass defense has dropped off. Denver has allowed a 63% completion rate and only has 16 sacks. The primary problem for the Denver defense is that they haven't been able to make life easier on the offense. Denver only has 4 takeaways and is one of only 2 teams without a fumble recovery. Only Oakland, Carolina, and Atlanta have a lower percentage of drives ending in a takeaway. Opposing teams only have 10.1 yards per reception, which is tied for the 3rd best mark in the NFL. But the lack of takeaways really stands out. Denver is already -8 in turnover margin through just 6 games. The Kansas City Chiefs are looking to get right. After a 5-0 straight up and against the spread start, the Chiefs have dropped 2 straight games as a field goal favorite. Unless the line drops to 6.5, this will be the biggest favorite role for Kansas City this season. Denver has only been an underdog once and only have 2.5 points. The best offense in the NFL belongs to the Chiefs. Kansas City has reeled off 6.5 yards per play and also leads the NFL with just 1 turnover. That was a fumble, so Alex Smith is still pitching a perfect game with 15 touchdowns against 0 picks. He's also completed 72.4% of his throws. Kareem Hunt's pursuit of history has hit some snags. The rookie is still having an excellent season with an NFL leading total of 717 yards, but he only has 215 yards in his last 56 carries, which is a more modest 3.83 yards per carry than his 5.8 yards average for the season. Smith has done a great job spreading the ball around to his receivers, namely Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Hill has grabbed 36 of his 49 targets, and Kelce has caught 37 of his 49 targets. The efficiency of this offense has been something to marvel at, and is a big reason why the Chiefs are off to this type of start. Unfortunately, some cracks in the defensive armor are beginning to show up. The Chiefs have allowed 392, 439, and 505 yards over the last 3 games. Last week marked the first time that the Chiefs held an opponent to under 100 rushing yards, but Oakland threw for 417 yards and torched the Chiefs secondary. The Chiefs are 27th in yards gained per pass attempt and have allowed 13 passing touchdowns. Furthermore, the defense is 28th in yards per carry against, with 4.7 yards per game allowed on the ground. They've been able to survive because they win the field position battle with regularity thanks to an offense that doesn't turn the ball over. But these are really concerning trends. The Chiefs have allowed 6.1 yards per play, and they have gained 37.5 yards per drive, but allowed 35.4 yards per drive. The question here is whether or not Kansas City continues their defensive regression, or if the defense can buckle down and get things figured out. Fortunately, this week's assignment is easier than the last 2 against Pittsburgh and Oakland. While the Broncos offense has clearly struggled, Denver is still plus .5 yards per play, and the Chiefs are plus .4 yards per play. Kansas City has done it in a prettier, more exciting way, but the Chiefs' defense is a bit of a mess. The Broncos' offense is clearly bad, and we'd be interested in the better defensive team getting more than a touchdown. Teams coming off of Thursday Night Football have been terrific against the spread this season, but this number simply looks to be a little bit too high. Our pick and prediction will be to go with the Denver Broncos at plus 7.5 if you can find it. For our pick and prediction on this game and every other game this week, and a wealth of free stats and information, check out bangthebook.com.